Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
Hi, I'm Matt.
Yes.
What do you guys do here?
What?
I'd like a number 2, please.
God damn it. I've lost my train of thought now. Damn it.
With a sweet tea.
Would you like that supersized?
Oh, yes, please. And now I reveal my true identity, Morgan Spurlock.
What? Oh, is that the guy who did the Super Size Me documentary? Okay.
That's that guy.
Sorry.
He also
And
did
the
a bunch
last
of other
verse.
documentaries that were the same thing.
Yeah. All right. And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta. And this is our 3rd year anniversary episode.
Oh.
And we decided to do Ronald McDonald House.
You decided to do garbage instead of something interesting.
Well, to be fair, you're the one that did suggest this one to us, Matt. It's already
Yeah, I just didn't realize it was going to be your 3rd anniversary episode.
Well, yeah. We will have or Dr. Leviathan wasn't able to make this recording. However, we will have a recording of his response to this story at some point in the episode, and I will do like a... And now for Dr. Leviathan's recording. Beep. All right.
You could honestly probably just post in like an entire Lewis Black sketch, and it'll probably be the same.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're doing Ronald McDonald House by Dkingsbury on creepypasta.wiki is what I caught on when I looked it up.
I actually didn't get the name, so you're further ahead of it than I am.
But you're doing the rundown.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Dkingsbury. He has no profile page on.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, the only thing that he's really like known for on this, like I just looked through like the source of it, and he was the first. His first thing on this Wikipedia site was that he posted this. So as far as I know, he's the author, but I mean, he might have just copied and pasted it somewhere. So
He also is he's also the sole uploader and editor of darkronald.jpg.
and that's the image that accompanies this story, right?
Yes.
Which is another trope for this story. Great. We'll get into that when we do actual like thoughts and whatnot
Yeah.
after
So
the
you want
rundown.
me to just like start hitting this?
Yep. Just go right into it.
All right. So first off, I'm just going to start by reading the first line of this story, and then reading the first line of another story.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. I'm sure you've heard of the Ronald McDonald House charity. They provide housing for families of sick kids when they're in the hospital. Seems pretty innocent, right? Well, there's another side of the charity. There's another type of Ronald McDonald House that not many people know about. Some of you may know that Disney Corporation is responsible for at least one real live ghost town. Disney built the Treasure Island Resort in Baker's Bay in the Bahamas. It didn't start as a ghost town. Disney's cruise ships actually end up at the resort to relax in luxury. It's a fact. Look it up.
Wow. That's from Abandoned by Disney. Wow. Wow. Okay, we're off to a great start.
Yeah. Now, I will say that while it starts like that, it quickly goes another direction. All right,
Yeah,
so
it does deviate in that it probably takes a bunch of other ideas from other stories.
Probably.
and make it sound different.
That's why I'm wondering if this is full of tropes or just like somebody assembled a creepypasta out of the Lego blocks of other creepypastas. And so we're just wondering why this house has a giant pirate ship sticking out the front of it.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, as said in the beginning, there's 2 Ronald McDonald House charities. One of them provides housing for sick kids, and in this story, the other one is a halfway house for foster kids. Quote, there's one in most big cities. You won't find it by looking for it. It doesn't have an address. Doesn't have a sign above the doors. It doesn't even have windows.
Which, to be fair, he's in downtown Detroit, so But that's a little bit spoilery for what's to come. But
No, it's fine. They mentioned Detroit like 50 goddamn times in this story.
yeah,
So let's see. And it's only for bad kids.
yeah.
Basically.
It's where the bad kids go. Oh,
And
God.
so, yeah, it's where the bad kids go.
Oh no! Is this actually in Detroit, or is this actually in like the Middle East? Here in fuck, what the hell was it? Was it Turkey? No, it wasn't Turkey.
I can't remember now. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, since it says it only begins with it's only for bad kids, after the section break, we get this is a bad kid who's been kicked out of a bunch of foster homes. Talking to also for the sake of expediency, the bad kid is named Steve.
Spooky Steve, yeah.
Yeah, Spooky Steve. So Steve is been kicked out of a bunch of foster homes and is talking with his caseworker, who is just the caseworker, and says that his only options are military school or the Ronald McDonald house, which he picks the Ronald McDonald house because a house owned by a building owned by a fast food clown sounds better than military school, which I guess I don't know. He arrives next day in front of the smash cut to Ronald McDonald house. Minimal possessions, except for some reason he has a photo album of all of his other foster families. Even though he gets kicked out and hates all of them, he still has a picture of all of them for whatever reason and has a photo album in the year of our Lord 2017.
I actually have in my notes. I'll get to that because like that. There's some really contradictory shit in this story from that alone.
Oh yeah, no. Also on top of this, in addition to being on the Creepypasta archive, Midnight Marinara did a live reading of this by the actual host of Midnight Marinara, whose name eludes me at the moment, but also Nick Nocturne and Slime Beast.
Yeah.
Which is its own special set. If you want to hear Nick Nocturne of Nightmind get legitimately angry at stuff,
Yeah, I've been holding off listening to it because I didn't want it to spoil my reaction to this story. But
I'm going to say that probably a little bit of my own reactions to this are maybe biased by that, but it's been a couple of months since I've listened to it.
Yeah, I plan on listening to that after this, basically.
Anyway, Steve arrives with minimal possessions. Caseworker says she has a lot of kids that went through the Ronald McDonald house, and they turned out great, and Ronald McDonald house even took their case files. And also, they keep talking about how this is Detroit. I think specifically, she says the Ronald McDonald house is in Detroit, and the military school is in Lansing. So we keep getting the hit that this is definitely Michigan.
Yeah. A lot of shit happens in Michigan.
There's a lot of that. Yeah, that's why there's a lot of breweries, and also Tim Allen keeps talking about it.
Yes.
So let's see. They enter the Ronald McDonald house, and we just get front loaded with there's the secretary is wearing clown makeup and is dressed like a nurse for some reason. And Steve immediately says he wants to go to the military school before getting dragged away by clowns. To which his caseworker says, "Oh, here comes the welcome committee." And she leaves while Steve talks about how scary clown makeup is and how everybody is constantly laughing and waving surgical instruments in front of his face while drugging him.
Yep.
And as he's passing out, they stick their fingers in his mouth to contort his face and say, "We love to see you smile." We wake up, smash cut to a cell, or I guess fade in from black, interior cell, bad lighting. He's got a gown that has Ronald McDonald heads on it for some reason. A lot of description about how nasty the cell is, and his backpack, which is empty except for the photo album, except all the photos have been replaced with each of his foster families being murdered, which, god damn, that is a dedicated staff.
Also, man, that was both quick. Holy crap, they just, went to each of their homes. Also, I think the caseworker's also been murdered.
The caseworker's also murdered, despite how she sent multiple kids to the Ronald McDonald
in my
house.
Notes. That's in my notes.
That's also in my notes multiple times. Anyway, this leads up to what could be a cool moment if there was literally any setup for it.
Yep.
Where I turn to the last page and the words written inside the back of the photo album were, "You never existed." And that could be creepy if they did. If it wasn't just if you didn't just get to the money shot within the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So let's see. Anyway, the clowns underestimated Steve because he sewed a set of lockpicks into his backpack for some reason.
I mean, he is a bad kid.
He is a bad kid. He will keep telling us this. I hate when characters say what they feel. That makes me angry. Then he elaborates these are definitely lock picks, definitely pins for picking locks. He is a bad kid. Side note: he should have had a screwdriver to jimmy the lock open.
Also, okay, I'm gonna put one of my notes in here right now. At this point.
Sure, hit me.
Why is there a lock on the inside of a cell door?
Yeah.
Like, that just seems like really shitty planning for a place that has cells.
I mean, let's be honest. The lock is there so that he could escape with his lockpicks.
I understand, but
that he's very proud of.
And it's a room, not a cell.
Is it? Okay, I envisioned like a cell of some.
I think
kind,
he says.
like
I think he calls it a cell and a room interchangeably.
Okay, yeah. Like I'm literally thinking of like almost one of those.
It's described like a sanitarium room.
Yeah, that's
with
exactly
the padded
what I'm
walls
thinking,
and stuff like that.
which
is why he's referring to it as cell and room, like kind of interchangeably.
Yeah. Just.
And so anyway, yeah, using his amazing, using his powers as the master of unlocking, he escapes, barely avoiding becoming a Steve sandwich.
God damn you.
Anyway, yeah, and he escapes into the hallway. He finds a bunch of identical rooms / cells. Stumbles onto the play place where he hears screams, laughter, implied torture. Doesn't want to check it. Finds the stairwell. Just gets into the stairwell. It's unlocked. Whatever. Goes down. The stairwell is. You will be happy to know the stairwell is rusty.
Yeah.
They do not take any. I mean, I don't know, Detroit. They don't take any effort to maintain this building. Also, sorry to anybody in Detroit, but
Yeah,
we're just gonna stereotype the hell out of you.
Yeah.
This show is racist against Detroit.
I'm sorry. So yeah, actually, also in my notes, but I'm going to throw it in here. I don't actually hate Detroit. I'm actually quite fascinated with its modern with it on the whole like angle of like modern ruination and urban decay in culture and stuff like that, and the fact that it's fun to call something an industrial hellscape.
Yeah,
but I don't actually we like on the show we've kind of made fun of Detroit a couple of times, but it's so like it's kind of on a fascination level, less than a hatred level.
I like that you were about to say we've made fun of Detroit a lot, but it's just so fun. It's just so fun to hate something.
It's just so fun to make fun of it. God.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, play place, implied torture, finds a stairwell, he finds out he's on the 5th floor, so goes to the ground level. On the ground level, he does not find an exit. Instead, the hallway leads to a room with a red cross where there's just a bunch of kids being crucified and hung from the ceiling with a machine sucking out all their blood.
Yep.
I opened my mouth to scream, to cry out in anger. All I could say is, what the fuck? And then, whoops, clowns, he set off the what the fuck alarm, and now clowns are chasing him.
It's like in Demolition Man. When somebody swears, there's an alert.
Yeah, there's a swear alarm. I like that.
A token. What we don't hear in the story is that there's a little dispenser on the wall next to him that filed out a receipt.
Prints out a tickets. All right. So, whoops, there's clowns. There's a chase. He goes to the basement. He outruns the clowns. There's some interesting descriptive imagery in there that's kind of undercut by this story just going a million miles an hour.
And just, he's being chased.
He's being chased. He's running through the basement. The basement is old. There's a bunch of bodies in it for some reason. He gets to the end. There's a ladder. He climbs up the ladder and hits the ceiling, and then keeps hitting the ceiling. And the ceiling's actually a manhole cover. Okay. And one of the clowns cuts him, and then he pushes the manhole. He pushes the cover over the manhole, and yep. There we go. Solved.
Well, he jumps onto it, right? So that'll keep them from getting out.
He lies down on it and then leaves. And then this is where the story takes a turn that I don't understand what's happening. Is that it's a desolate street, it's ruined, it's abandoned. Okay, that's fair, it's Detroit. And then he hits on this newspaper that says July 13th, 1992.
Okay.
And I looked this up. Oh. I can't find anything significant about this date except that a famous Belgian swimmer was born.
Well, thank God for that.
I think like an Olympic swimmer was from Belgium was born on this day. I don't understand why this date. I don't. Anyway, and then it's like, did he go And then there's this, and then it comes to this question, which we brought up at the beginning of the episode, like, did he go back in time? Because he goes to the McDonald's, he finds a McDonald's and says, oh, but it's a McDonald's from the 80s. But then also, it's unlocked, it's abandoned, and there's just, and then this is the part that, there's just a laptop.
Yep.
There's just,
and
I noticed,
knows what he must do.
I noticed on the front counter a black rectangle. I got closer, a laptop, a nearly new laptop. I let out a soft, delirious laugh. I knew what I was supposed to do, and then I wrote this story and posted it to the creepypasta wiki.
Wow.
And also, here's Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, while the statue of Ronald McDonald on the bench next to me was looking over my shoulder. And
he takes it out of the restaurant and writes on the bench, and then we get his like fucking Instagram picture of the Ronald McDonald statue.
Yup.
Hashtag no filters.
Oh boy. So give me hit me with your guys' stuff. Okay. I guess I'll go first with my thoughts on this. So I start off with a quote. There's one in most big cities. You won't find it by looking for it. It doesn't have an address. It doesn't have signs above the door. It doesn't even have windows. No, the only way you'll find it is if you're taken there. Wait. But how does the person taking you there find it if you can't find it yourself? Ow. That was my first reaction to that.
GPS.
You just punch it in. Yeah. You know, in this vein, this is tangential.
Yeah.
But I will say, there is this. I had a friend in from Ohio a couple of years back, and we went to the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it was getting it was around dinner time, so I just looked up on Google Maps on my phone, like what are some good restaurants around, because I haven't been in the Lincoln Park area a lot. And so I found this one place that was like 5 stars. And I'm like, all right, sure, let's go. And like I punched it in. The directions took me to and I'm reminded of this just because the directions took me to this like giant like black slab of a building that had so we went. They had some obvious doors on the front, so we went in, and the doors led to a dark hallway that was lit only by occasional red lights. And then the end were some like elevator like doors that opened automatically when we got to them, and then it opened up into a cocktail lounge. And this woman came up to us and asked which party we were with, and saying like, "Oh, do you guys have any tables open?" And her response was, "Oh, sorry, our reservation list is 3 months."
Wow.
And yeah, that place is closed now. I can't remember why, but it was
too fancy for this world.
I guess, I don't know. It was fucking jumping, and I'm pretty sure there had to be an Eyes Wide Shut sex club in the back.
Oh fuck!
But it was.
Yeah, sorry.
It was. I wish I could remember the name of the place now. It was so fucking bizarre. But that's just this interaction just reminded me of going to that place.
That's really interesting, because my next thing is also something that this story brought up, something from my childhood that like in terms of like the whole building itself and shit. So start off with like another quote. I've been in and out of foster families and group homes here in Detroit since I was a kid. So this kid is in Detroit. Are we sure this isn't just an isolated instance in that urban hellscape? That was my reaction to that, to that part of the story. But this story actually reminds me, like as I was reading it, the story started reminding me of a threat / urban legend from my old childhood neighborhood. I was kind of a terrible kid sometimes as a kid, as you know most kids were.
Sure.
Like didn't follow my parents' rules and shit like that. Normal kid stuff for the most part. Like just didn't want to go when we were supposed to leave like our grandma's place and stuff like that. But my dad one day threatened to take me to the Bad Boys Club. Basically a troubled youth center in my old neighborhood area. And the way my dad described
now a popular rap group.
But the way my dad described it, it was a hellish institution that I couldn't leave. And my dad wasn't actually going to take me there, obviously, but it scared me for years in my childhood, and I had nightmares and imaginative ideas about exactly what it was. This whole dark side of Ronald McDonald House. However annoying as a twisted, the whole, trope of, twisting a otherwise good-natured, real charity place, the Disney thing, or Ronald McDonald House, which is actual, legit good, place for, kids and even, families that are unfortunate and stuff like that. But to actually, twist and stuff like that. But this whole, premise of, the institutionalized, building and, these creepy, clown nurses and stuff like that kind of reminded me of my old nightmares of this Bad Boys Club. Because I even imagined the place when I was a kid being a giant windowless facility, like a personal prison hell for children. Nice. So I was reading the story, I was like, oh shit, this is dredging up some really freaky childhood nightmares. Yeah.
On the opposite side of that, in the Loop downtown in Chicago, we have I only learned this when I was watching a Let's Play of Watch Dogs, which was played by somebody else who lives in Chicago and has lived here a lot longer than I have. Talking about how in the Loop there are in fact they used the wrong name, but I learned they said the Cook County Correctional Facility, which is way somewhere else in Cook County. But I learned from that that there are in fact two different prisons in the Loop, and they are not immediately obvious as prisons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's the Juvenile Center, which is between I think a Starbucks and a Subway.
So kind of, oh my god! So it is kind of like this, with that, just a building among all the other ones.
Yeah, it's all part of the same building. In fact, it just the only reason I knew what it was because I looked up the address, and the address of the building is stamped in huge letters, or it's in huge letters in frosted glass above the door.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow, okay, I never knew what that was. And then the other place is the Metropolitan Correctional Facility or something. I might be getting the name wrong. And it's this weird triangular, it's like a triangular high-rise building. And the only thing that gives you the only thing that makes it obvious that it's a prison is that the windows are very, very small.
Yeah, almost non-existent.
Yeah, they're like weird slits that are big enough to let in enough light, but not big enough to escape through.
Yeah. Yeah, that game, Watch Dogs, also kind of made me realize that, there was prisons among the main, city. And I think I even had, a conversation with you over Skype once about that.
Maybe, yeah. Watch Dogs also has a lot of things wrong about Chicago because it was supposed to be Toronto at first.
That blew my mind when I found that out. I was like, oh, okay. And then
which is why Chicago has so many mountains.
What?
in that game.
I just don't imagine Toronto having mountains. But okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They split the difference. It also has a lot more islands, which Chicago does have islands, including the legendary Goose Island. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. That's not Ronald McDonald.
Back to Detroit.
Oh, yeah, back to Detroit. Back to the urban hellscape.
Back to Detroit. I actually wonder if this person lives in Michigan or Detroit, or if they just kind of threw names around.
Yeah. I mean, it is, again, we do make fun of Detroit sometimes, but it's it is really good fodder for, urban decay because of unfortunate things that have happened in the last couple of decades. But,
yeah. Thanks a lot, General Motors.
Yeah. Here's another quote. I don't have the patience for drill sergeants and 5 a.m.
Revelry.
Reveille? Okay, that's... Okay, I think that was actually a grammar Nazi thing, because it's I have in my notes it should be didn't to keep the past tense, but maybe that makes sense when you're reading the full story, part of that story. Okay.
I mean, it's probably a grammatical error. You're changing tense in the middle of the same paragraph.
Yeah.
You're also changing tense. You shouldn't. Yeah. Change tense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, as we do on the show, please stick to one tense and maybe edit. Another quote: "I've had a few cases who went through the Ronald McDonald house," the caseworker said from the front seat. "Things went so well for those kids. I never had to transfer them anywhere else. In fact, the house took over their case files and everything." So that's a little suspicious, and there's an issue that comes up later in my thoughts on that. Regarding
the caseworker gets killed.
Why is this? Why does she get killed now? If she's had many other case files go through this same building.
Yeah, I do like. Oh man, it's so good. Like the kids, and this will. I'll discuss that. I'll discuss that more in our later breakdowns. But yeah. And then another quote that, as they go into the place. "The caseworker rang the bell on the counter, and the secretary spun around in her chair. Her face was painted like a clown, like Ronald McDonald, in fact. Call it my entirely rational fear of clowns, but this kid should run. Just run while you can." I mean, I think that's why he says, "Actually, I want to go to the military school now."
And then
I also am going to say, I think the writer of this story has a fear of clowns and a fear of hospitals, and just tried to make a story out of that.
And I mean, that's perfectly legitimate. Like,
I mean, it's just those are two subjects that don't combine well unless you're going to make like evil Patch Adams.
Yeah. And then we have the scene where the caseworker turns around and sees all the nurses and stuff like that. "Oh," said the caseworker, "here comes the welcoming committee. So you are either a really horrible person, a just hilariously oblivious / a horror movie parent, or you're in on this entire thing and you want this kid off your hands by any means necessary."
Yeah, I like the idea that she's complicit.
Yeah. And then,
in fact, that would have been better than her being killed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like if she'd actually
if she started laughing at the same time
as she walked away
and then left, because she's also deep, and then she takes off the mask to reveal that she's a clown.
Yeah. Oh God. Also regarding the trip to the industrial halfway house, as I call it, with a windowless building, and then we just dive right into this fun house of like murder and shit. This escalated. Like, this really got out of hand fast.
This went 0 to 60 in about a sentence.
Yeah, like, there was some build-up at the beginning, but then just, boom, insane clown posse shows up. And just it grabs the kid and throws him into this weird, and then just starts drugging him. And then he's in a cell. And then he's in that staircase. And then he's in this weird, fucked up medical room where kids are being siphoned for their blood, and then he's running past. Yeah, it just keeps going. Like it does. There's no like transitionary sequences to help slow down the pace of the story to make these like horrific.
No, it's just
good.
a million miles an hour the entire time.
We're just getting like all the highlights basically.
Why have a hamburger when you can have steak?
Yeah.
Actually, this reminds me. There's a Let's Play I saw of Super Mario Brothers 2 that was co-commentated by the Retsupre guys. I don't know if you watched that channel. This guy I think is what's his name? I gotta hold on. I have it written down somewhere.
Sure.
But he's his whole thing is that he cuts out any time that he's not commentating, so that his videos are just non-stop commentary.
Oh, God.
Let me see. What do we got? It is Corn Shack. That's his name, right?
Corn Shack.
And it's just like he cuts out any time he's not talking, but the thing is, like, his commentary isn't always like isn't even that interesting. It's like he's going through World War II with the whales, and like he takes like a minute to point out how one of these whales has its eye in a slightly different place than the other whales.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's what this story is.
Yeah,
it's just like cut the fat. We just need what makes horror boring? Tense building.
Yeah.
Let's just do a supercut of Friday the 13th where all the kids just get stabbed to death, and we get to the machete fight in 5 minutes.
Let's just have a montage of death. And that's basically Friday the 13th. It sounds like something somebody would like take the Friday the 13th movie and just make a YouTube like clip show of all the death sequences.
Yeah, that said, like the story wouldn't be helped by like pacing, but pacing is definitely one of its problems.
Yeah. And then moving on to another quote here. I tried to sit up, my body ached, and the moment I sat up, my body ached, and the moment I sat upright, my vision started spinning. Wonder what they drugged me with. I think it's I wondered what they drugged me with. Just another bit of grammar Nazism. And then, so at the beginning of the story, the kid describes himself as a bad kid and going through all these foster families. But it doesn't add up really with his photo album and the fact that he wishes it had worked out, but with those other families. Like, maybe I'm missing something with like foster life.
No, you're not missing anything. The author the author did not tell us why Steve was a bad kid.
Yeah,
it's just Steve is a bad kid. Steve got kicked out of foster families. Steve likes his foster families, but he gets kicked out of them
because he's a bad kid.
Yeah, there's nothing else in there. It's just
so it's
he's
just
this.
Yeah, there's just sorry, yeah, and because he's like says that and then says the other thing. It's kind of getting mixed signals as to why exactly he's a bad kid. Yet he wants.
He's a bad kid, but deeply he wants to be loved.
He's a bad kid with a heart of gold, is what I kind of got with him, and basically that's what that was my response to the next thing, where he's talking about the pins using for the pin locks. It's like, I told you, I'm a bad kid, and then my response to it was basically a bad kid with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And then I basically go on. The next thing part of that is my.
I like also that I like also that he has an emergency set of lockpicks sewn into his backpack.
Yeah,
which I feel like this is like, oh man, this is why I'm glad I didn't get into writing when I was in high school, because I feel like this is something that this person actually did, like the writer actually did, and is wrote this story just to show that off. Because this was an idea. I had an idea in high school that the best home security would be to remove one section of the wall, put a knife in among the studs, and then if somebody broke in, I would scream, punch through the wall, and pull out a knife.
I mean, that would.
That's the art of war. The best weapon is the one you never have to use.
Nice. Yeah, that would definitely stop. Like that would definitely break tension. I would think. Either by you breaking your fist on the wall, or
I'm gonna have a photo to let me know where the knife is.
Yeah, or you from the angle of the guy who's breaking in, just have this guy just break through his wall screaming, and then grab out a knife and was like, oh fuck this, I'm out, I'm gone. This guy's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of childlike kind of naivete of what you would do as when you're writing a story, what I'd do for this part, I'd do this super complex thing.
Yeah.
Also, regarding the when we go to the, I guess, is it called the playroom, the
play place
with the crucified children.
The crucified children are in a room that just has a red cross.
Right,
Play place is never explored. You just hear screams.
Yeah, right. Okay. So yeah, the one with the kids who are crucified. So I don't know why, but the kids dangling from crucifixes while hanging from the ceiling and having their blood drained. The whole crucifix part kind of muddles the horror of this scene. It's not silly, or it's not that it's really silly. It's just there's so much there. It's kind of adding too much clutter to an otherwise creepy sequence. It's kind of distracting to have.
Yeah, it's not enough that the kids are being killed, or their blood is being taken, or they've been crucified. It's all three of these things.
Yeah,
that's the approach we call more is more.
Yeah, yeah, and it kind of goes back to like we were just saying about writing when we were younger, we're in high school and stuff like that. It kind of feels like that kind of writing, immature, or kind of almost immature, or amateur, more than amateur writing.
I don't have shurikens. I have steel-edged playing cards.
Or I have a gun that doesn't just shoot shurikens; it shoots shurikens with lightning.
I have a gun that's also a sword. And also, I'm one of the two people in the world that can use it.
Fuck. Goddamn edgelords. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the edgelord mentality.
But it's this thing where I feel like this is the only part of the story that got a lot of writing where it's like, no, there needs to be more to this.
Yeah.
Everything got like multiple rounds of stuff being added.
Yeah. And then as he's running like down down in the basement, which suddenly turns into a sewer tunnel, I guess, and there's these just like piles of bodies. Just piles of bodies.
They're just there.
Like, I'm kind of getting into, like, we got a plot hole here, because this Ronald McDonald house, I mean, I get that, like, oh, they take in these bad kids, and then they could end up in, they could just vanish, because they have all the paperwork, too, so they just, oh, no, they went to a good home, don't worry about it. But when you have piles of bodies...
No, don't worry about it.
They're hidden underground.
Yeah.
Ronald McDonald house.
And they're so they're in the sewers, but it's Detroit. I mean, no one's gonna question that.
You give to Ronald McDonald House, you're donating to mass executions.
Yeah. God. And then the guy this one's he lays on top of the manhole cover for a few minutes as he catches his breath. I just feel like that's a good way to get stabbed by needles or scalpels from the clowns below, since manhole covers generally have holes in them.
Not always.
No? Okay.
It depends on the kind of manhole cover it is. If this is a storm drain, then yeah, it would.
Yeah.
If it's, but most manhole covers are just like an inch of solid steel.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so
also on the other side of that, this kid was able to lift a manhole cover.
Yeah, that's the other plot hole of that.
and the clowns are not, or they just don't care.
Yeah, they're just like, shucks, he got away. Well. He's time travel. Luckily, that was the manhole cover that goes back in time.
It was the porthole of time.
Yeah. And then following that whole like those shenanigans, I looked around. Abandoned buildings, broken glass, no lights, no cars, no sign of any life at all. So, downtown Detroit. Just saying. And then. After that, we get to the part where my foot fell on something soft and mushy. I looked down, a newspaper. I peeled it off the wet asphalt. Most of the ink had faded, but I was able to make out the date, July 13th, 1992. And my initial reaction to that was, wait, hang on, what? Time travel?
Yeah, that's everybody's reaction.
And then, to be fair, this is Detroit. So there could be still some rampant newspapers from around the 90s, or so surreal modern anachronisms from the movie It Follows would have me believe, because, seriously, I'm getting some serious It Follows vibes from the setting of this story, because in that movie it's set in Detroit, but I didn't know it was Detroit until they mentioned the 8 Mile, about 30 minutes before the end of the movie. And for the whole movie, I'm like, is this like set in the 80s? But because all the cars are roughly 80s style cars, and the tube TVs, and like the houses are all 80s fashioned, but yet people have cell phones, and like this one kid is reading like a book from a like clam-like tablet, and they're going to like the girl goes.
Also, isn't that movie about Twitter?
No, that was Unfriended, I think.
Unfriended is about Facebook. Okay. I thought It Follows was about Twitter.
It Follows, I think, it's an invisible killer. It's basically a slasher movie where the slasher is an STD.
Okay.
It's a supernatural. Oh, sorry, an SSTD. It's a supernaturally sexually transmitted disease.
Okay.
But the whole setting is like this kind of weird, like modern yet anachronistic modern kind of like setting. Because everything is analog, very little in the movie itself is digital, but there are devices that are digital in the movie that pop up, and it has you questioning if this is supposed to be like an 80s like kind of tribute movie, and then you realize, oh no, this isn't an 80s anachronism, this is just Detroit. And so I can't help but get some like weird feelings for that, like from between the setting of this story and It Follows. And maybe there's some inspiration, or is that just how Detroit is? Is it just some weird ruined time capsule?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't think it's. I think saying that is a bit a bit far, but I've never actually been to Detroit. I don't know. I know they're trying to put a RoboCop statue in there.
I've driven through it, or I've driven down the highway to get to Gen Con, and it's pretty like ramshackle and kind of run down a little bit, and like it's definitely, like I say, like I call it an industrial hellscape for a reason, because there's a lot of factory work and stuff, like old factories and stuff that are like pumping out fumes into the sky.
Sure,
but like from on the highway anyway. So like that's my point of view of it anyway. But yeah, I've never actually been in downtown, into Detroit core itself, so I don't know if that's actually the case all over the city. It's just what media has kind of had me to believe.
Sure.
And then we go on to my last part of my thoughts. So we have this quote at the very end. I noticed something from the front of the corner, on the front counter, a black rectangle. I got closer, a laptop. Nearly nude laptop. I let out a soft, delirious laugh. Basically what you meant, like what you described earlier. So, and then it gets down to is like, because I've been noticing out of the corner of my eye, Ronald is trying to look over my shoulder. He's laughing now. All I can do is join him. I'm just, what? And that's how the story ends. And I'm just, I mean, this is kind of a surreal ending, but the breakneck pacing throughout the entire story leaves me more confused than really intrigued.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know what to make of it. Like, there's some really interesting, creepy ideas in this story, but they are so just skimmed over or he hit fast forward.
This reminds me a lot of the best thing I could think of is Silent Hill Revelation 3D. That both of these things are just like, it's a haunted house.
Yeah.
Where their idea of horror is like, look, here's a scary thing, here's a scary thing, here's a scary thing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Like, here's a spooky scene. Oh, here's another spooky scene. Oh, here's another. Basically, and it does feel like you're just walking through a haunted house or like one of those like attractions that are like just kind of give you false horror, because it's all just displaying over the top creepiness.
Yeah, maybe this was his pitch for the haunted hayride, was the Ronald McDonald house attraction.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically my notes on the story, because it's weird. Sure. It's trippy and it's weird, but it's not in a good way. So, like, also, how many pastas can you identify in this, or like how many tropes does this incorporate? Because I was able to pick out like 3. Really, the big one that is coming to mind is Abandoned by Disney, Corruptus, in terms of like using, like, basically taking a real life, organization and basically saying there's a dark side to it, which I'm sure has been done in other stories, not just that one.
Yeah, you got Suicide, you got Squidward Suicide Mouse.
Yeah, basically any of the Lost episodes that like treat it as like, oh, the Disney company wanted to do something dark, and then they had to basically get rid of the footage, or they hid the footage from people, but it got leaked. That kind of stuff. I can't really think of any other ones aside from that. I think, like, which other ones are you talking about aside from Abandoned by Disney? Okay,
so we've got at the end of the story we have 2 right in a row, which is I found this laptop. I needed to post this to the creepypasta wiki.
Yeah. Okay, that's,
and then also just random smile dog.
Oh yeah. The photo, yeah. That's okay, yeah. There's that trope. There's the.
I feel like if I read more stuff, there's probably a bunch of other things in the middle here that I just can't identify.
The kid always being prepared and able to escape I'm sure is a trope in creepypastas. Like, kind of actually the one that's coming to mind is the. Of course, now I can't remember it. It was the one that you guys hated because the guy would refuse to call it blood.
Oh, right.
The showers.
Right.
Yeah. Where the guy went into all this horrible shit, and like he shouldn't have been able to escape, but just because he's the protagonist and he needs to write down the story, he escaped. Like Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, and then there's also one of the other things. Oh.
Sorry, I just and then the use of clowns is a very it's not so much a creepypasta trope, but it's a very common.
It's a horror trope.
Horror trope is to use clowns or Ronald McDonald.
It's the monkey cheese of horror.
Yeah.
I think that was also a thing. So one of the things was when I was listening to this on Midnight Marinara, Slimebeast kept comparing it to all of his other stories as he was reading it.
Yeah, I can see that.
And one of them was he did this other story that I don't know if you guys ever covered called Honkers.
We have not done that one yet.
I can't remember if that's the name of it, but the twist in that one is it's about this like McDonald's knockoff place that's very, very clown themed, and then the twist is that all of the food is made of dead kids.
See, that's actually really, that's kind of interesting. And
the best part is I'm pretty sure this is the troll pasta because it has another better twist at the end.
Oh.
I'm not going to spoil it. Just read that story.
Right,
it's stupid.
All right, fine. We'll read
it's
that
stupid.
story.
It's stupid in a fun. It's really stupid in a fun way.
All right. Well, how about this? We'll read that. I'll read that story, and then we'll have you on the show again for that one.
Sure. It's a date.
Yeah. Another thing with this one is, I actually expected the blood, like them siphoning the blood from the kids, to have like some kind of dark meaning about like Ronald McDonald as well. Like, is that what goes in the slurries or the slurries, the like the slushies and stuff like that, or like some of their like their sodas and stuff like that? But no, they're just siphoning blood for reasons. And like,
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
Right? Like, this really does. Oh my god, is this the room for creepypastas? I hope not.
No, this didn't cost $6 million to produce. It's not as technically competent as The Room is.
Fair.
The Room is an example of technical competence with very, very bad writing.
Yeah.
Because you see that and you see The Room, you compare that to a Neil Breen film.
Yeah.
Like, you see The Room and you say, this is a really terrible, terrible movie. Then you watch a Neil Breen film, and you realize when you see a Neil Breen film that, oh, right, Tommy Wiseau went to film school and hired a crew.
Whereas Neil Breen, I think, is just, like, he just decided to start making movies, even though he has no training or foyer into it, from what I've heard.
Yeah, he's, as far as I understand, he is a realtor in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And he had some money, and he spends, like, $30,000 per film, maybe.
Jesus.
He also is not part of a union, so he cannot hire. That was in a we're again on a way on a tangent here, but in one of the things for his latest film Pass Through, he talked about in an interview he said that he did not hire any union actors, and that was not by choice.
Yeah. Wow.
I think on the scale of bad movies, this is definitely more on the Neil Breen side than the Tommy Wiseau side.
Okay, fair enough. Like, this is like
not enough magic rocks or laptops though.
Yeah.
Actually, there is one laptop, but it's on.
I've only heard of Neil Breen because of other podcasts that we are both kind of like privy to.
You can find all of his movies on YouTube.
Oh, great! That's always a good indicator.
He does not care about. He just wants people to see his movies.
All right. Well, I mean, so he does it.
You can also order them from his website in a very, very convoluted fashion, and he will autograph them for you.
Wow. Huh. So, I mean, at least it seems like he cares, but
he's definitely passionate about this stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
But that's something else.
Yeah, we're as much as this is like our anniversary episode. So I mean, we're entitled to go a little bit off kilter for it.
Okay, sure.
But so does Mikey or should Matt go first?
I can go, I guess.
Okay.
I already went. What else is there?
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
All right.
I guess I have some. All I have is a couple things a couple ideas I have that could make the story better.
Okay, we'll save those for like when we get to the end, because I think we need to hear that after all the complaints about this.
Yeah. I am going to start at the end with the time travel, or supposed time travel. My mind didn't actually go to time travel for some reason. It just went to sort of like the burger apocalypse or a burger meltdown with the burger mushroom cloud.
So wait, he gets out of this like hellhole and realizes that the entire world has become a burger apocalypse?
Yeah, that happened in 1992.
Oh god.
I mean, to be fair, the clowns did kill all of his families.
Yeah, oh my god. So wait,
and take photos of it.
Yeah, and he was drugged, so maybe, like, holy shit. Like, not so much like he slept too long and, like, he's suddenly went back in time or anything, but, like, he was just always in 1992? And that's when the apocalypse happened? Oh my god.
Yep.
That kind of makes this a lot more intriguing.
And
then he wrote this on his laptop before pulling out his portal gun and entering our universe.
Yeah. The laptop really, really doesn't work if it is in 1992. Just because I was looking it up, and the internet wasn't a thing until 1991, and then it was just starting out.
Yeah, you had your dial-ins and your BBSs.
Yeah.
Like, the World Wide Web as a concept wasn't really a thing until 1995.
Well...
Or, like, it wasn't popular then,
well,
until about then.
95 is when Windows 95 came out and Internet Explorer. So...
Yeah.
That's where, like, the internet sort of took off, and the issue with this new laptop in 1992, in order to have internet, you'd have to be Unix box.
You're
Other
actually
things that-
applying logic to this.
So, Mikey, one other thing I'll point out, other things that did not exist in 1992. Wikipedia. Wikis as a concept. The creepypasta wiki. Creepypastas. 4chan. X.
Yeah, at that point it was like Polybius, like urban legend stuff. Like, not even... Yeah. It's like to try and like make this like, oh no, this is like... happened in 1992. Like,
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
It's easier to just kind of like go with like, oh, he time traveled.
I think it hits on this thing though, where like all of us hit this newspaper that says 1992,
and we're just like,
and we all
what?
took our own interpretation of like, why does it say 1992?
Yeah, because it's never. It doesn't. He finds it, and then he walks over to a dilapidated, ruined 80s style McDonald's. And that's it. And like the 92 is never otherwise explained.
It's also not significant.
No, I know. It's
Nothing
just,
happened. Nothing happened on that day.
You know what? I gotta actually wonder if it's kind of a joke that because I almost wonder if the author himself was born on July 13th, 1992.
Like, that's highly possible.
And it's just a personalized in-joke in the story.
Also, this is the thing that was pointed out in Midnight Marinera.
Okay.
But it's like, all right, we're gonna say that this story takes place in the year of our Lord 2017.
Yeah.
And this is a bad kid who would be living with his parents. How does he know what an 80s styled McDonald's looks like?
Right? I just... Ow. Ow.
Yep.
Also, the McDonald's despite being abandoned, does still have power and Wi-Fi.
Yep, Wi-Fi. I looked that up. It didn't even become a thing until 1997. And even then, like
Most restaurants probably would not have.
wouldn't have Wi-Fi.
I don't think that really became popular in restaurants till like the mid to late 2000s, right?
Well, yeah, it's easily into the millennium.
Yeah. For me, I just feel like that was more of a maybe 5 or 6 years down, 5 or 6 years ago, to this date.
Yeah.
So it just makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
I guess that also gives the impression this is a 90s kid writing about, or not a 90s kid, but a kid born in the 90s writing about maybe trying to write about the past and not understanding a world before the internet was everywhere.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I was a 90s kid and I barely remember that.
Yeah.
Another note I have is the cell phone. When he gets to the
Right, he did have a cell phone.
thing, he says, "Oh yeah, they took everything except my bag with the album, and they took his cell phone." And I'm thinking, okay, you got a foster kid who has the money to have a cell phone. Who is he calling?
Yeah. His casework.
Yeah.
Yeah, like also like that whole thing.
I mean, it
like,
could be it also could be a prepaid phone or whatever.
Yeah,
for
You can buy those.
emergencies.
You can buy those at the dollar store.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like for real, you can
but-
buy those at the dollar store.
But, yeah, and then another plot hole that is like, they take everything except for his bag.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
you'd think, why wouldn't they just take the entire bag, and if the album was so important, put it in another bag that they just happen to have, or leave the album?
I was actually just thinking that it's like, I mean, again, he needs the bag because he has his pins there,
Yeah.
and that's how he's going to get escape.
Yeah.
Not like surprise the somebody who gives him food or something like that, and then pushes out, and then we have a
No,
chase
that would
scene.
take having
That's true.
somebody show up
Yeah.
to the room would take time.
Yeah,
We
and
don't have time,
We don't have
cultists.
time for any of that. Yeah, like it would otherwise like they should have just left him with the album if they were going to like change out all the photos with these like murder photos, which also like man he must have been out a while with those drugs.
Yeah.
For them
They're
to-
just the world's fastest murderers and photographers.
yeah.
He was out
And
so
also, they
long.
got all those photos developed.
I know. They're using Polaroids because 80s and 90s. Oh shit.
Yeah. And when it got to the
And
end,
also, all those families were home at the time.
Yeah.
when it got to the end of the album, where it says "You never existed," I was like, "Man, did this creepypasta just break the fourth wall?"
What?
Because he never existed, and it's a
he's
creepypasta about
fiction.
someone who never existed.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the whole fictional thing, yeah. I think you're going a little too deeper than I would on the story, but also I for some reason because the last series of photos are of the person like taking photos as they're getting closer and closer to murdering the caseworker. I kind of just had the sudden thing in my head where it's like the photos like a screen like a in the same vein as like in the X-Files intro where it's like where it's like a screenshot of them like going through a room. Fuck. It has nothing to do with the story or like anything. It's just something that just kept popped in my mind because fuck it, it's funny.
Another issue I had was when he goes to basement 3, because he goes down 3 levels to get to this basement after being on the main floor. And then he goes into a sewer-like tunnel that ends up being the sewer because of the manhole. And I was just like, well, why didn't you just say it was the sewer?
Because
Also, why does it go directly into the sewer?
Yeah.
Well, that's where they're hiding the bodies, you see.
Yeah.
And just letting all that industrial sewage clean up the work.
Alright. Now, something that made this more interesting,
Oh.
going into this, knowing that it would be really, really bad, I put on my alien goggles.
What?
That's right. From a perception of believing that...
Oh, okay, not actual goggles.
No,
okay,
no.
okay.
just-
Oh, you asshole! You goddamn asshole! Are we
What?
seriously doing the sleep paralysis versus aliens thing? Okay,
No,
continue.
just aliens in
Okay.
general, because the clowns are aliens. Like just taking that perspective. So basically, they're mind controlling the caseworker.
That's why she's so oblivious.
That's why she's oblivious. And then the reason she's killed is because the mind control wears off. It can only be used so much, or else the brain goes kaplooey, you know?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's like Code Geass.
Yeah.
They only have limited uses of the Geass before it wears out.
God damn. So,
But the Geass does last indefinitely.
so wait, you're telling me that this is a sequel? This is in fact a sequel to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The Rise of Ronald McDonald.
Well, not that far, because there's so much
other shit,
other stuff in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and this that it's its own separate entity.
Okay.
Like the
But it's in that.
Yeah, there's no
genre
disease that turns your nose
genre.
red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's in that genre of space clowns.
Yeah. And then if you take the blood, they clearly need the blood of innocence to do something, which is probably to power their spaceship.
So human children blood is fuel for the clown aliens spacecraft, which is a giant windowless building in disguise.
Okay. I have an explanation for that.
Okay.
It's actually has the camouflage stuff like the Doctor Who TARDIS. So
Okay, it's got the chameleon. It's got the chameleon device.
Yeah.
So what we have at the beginning with the windowless building actually becomes the McDonald's at the end.
Okay.
And the technology is so advanced that it can integrate into the sewers to make it seem like it's been there all along.
And then it's also got the Transformers technology where it scans for the most prominent form of architecture.
Which would be a McDonald's. Of course.
Ah, yes, we shall integrate into their human society using their most popular figureheads.
Oh my god. I'll give you this. It would make the story a lot more creative? Does that hurt to say? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. That's a much better story idea than it's a much better and much stupider story idea than I had. Which mine only gets a little stupider.
All right.
But that sounds like a much more fun story.
Yeah. Like granted, I would love to read that story, where we actually get an explanation that it's aliens.
Cultists, be the change you want to see in the world.
So I got to rewrite the
change
story.
you want to read in.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
write it, but instead it's space aliens.
I'll add that to my list of things to write. All right. Wow, I have a headache. But Matt, why don't you go ahead and let's hear your revision.
Okay, yeah, mine is much. So my issue with this story is that it's splitting down the middle too much. Where it's somebody who had a fear of clowns and a fear of hospitals, and also and just smash those together in the jankiest way they could. We're like, we don't get enough for a story called Ronald McDonald House. Aside from the fact that everybody's a clown, there's not enough McDonald's.
Yeah, like.
So what we needed is, instead of the kid getting this robe, instead his clothes needed to be stripped away, and instead he got a Ronald McDonald suit. Everything needed to be, instead of everything being worn down, it should have all been McDonald's themed. It should have been very colorful and plastic and everything, and it needed to be, let's see, the way, I don't want to say it needed to be played straight, because that's what this was trying to do, was trying to be very dark and edgy, and it needed to be like, I'm not fine with the idea of torture, but I would like the torture to be, it needed to lean harder into the McDonald's slant than anything else. If this was like if this was Saw but set in McDonald's,
Oh my god.
that could be fun.
Ronald McDonald Jigsaw.
That could be really fun if it was a McDonald's themed Saw.
All right, Spooky Steve. You are welcome to my playroom. You must.
The key is inside this ball pit.
I was just about to fucking say that. It's like
Buried among the syringes and day-old diapers.
You must traverse the slides and tubes, while also being attacked by saws.
Yeah. See, that would be it'd be really fucking stupid, but I think that would be a fun read.
Yeah, I could see that. Like just a good TV screen in there and like a security camera and just a Ronald McDonald puppet or something.
It wouldn't make any sense with the halfway house angle, but it would make so much more sense for the Ronald McDonald. It would make so much more sense with the McDonald's angle.
Yeah,
because this story, I don't know what this story is trying to do or be. It's like it's a prison escape story that then also this person's afraid of clowns, so the prison is now managed exclusively by clowns.
Yeah, by Ronald McDonald makeup clowns. But yeah, it's like, were you terrified as a child from like Ronald McDonald, or are you just using the McDonald's like thing? Like, yeah, it almost feels like this didn't know what it wanted to be.
Because that's one of the things that even in there, I think they might say the terrifying Ronald McDonald makeup, or I think they'll just say terrifying clown makeup.
Yeah.
Let me see, because I think that's the thing. It's just like,
well, no, at the beginning, like when the nurse turns around,
the terrifying Ronald McDonald makeup. They do say that, so it is. They do stick to the idea of Ronald McDonald, but I think this is a person that is just very afraid of clowns.
Yeah.
And it just sort of expected the fear of clowns to sort of carry this story across the 10-yard line. But the thing is, like, you then go to something aside from the occasional things, like, I mean, like, even if it's also, I think if it I don't know why the kids are crucified and their blood's being drained. Like, why not have their bodies like being put into a meat grinder and then, or being put into a machine and then it's just Happy Meals are coming out the other side.
Exactly. Like that's what it kind of like seemed to be alluding to. Like at least like that's my go-to.
But what's the blood for?
Exactly.
What's the blood for?
I don't know. Like, or
why is that just a cylinder full of blood?
Is that how the ketchup's made in McDonald's?
They don't. Yeah, they don't say. It's just this little boy's full of blood.
We need the blood of children that have been crucified on the ceiling.
Yeah, it's like, and I think the thing is like, it's just, it wants to go so fast. We never get context for anything. It doesn't pay off, and it's just like, all right, you picked about 19 angles for this story. Why not like take it down to like 3?
Yeah.
So you could, and it just. But yeah, so that's my recommendation. You do a McDonald's themed Saw.
Wow. All right, there, internet, get on that.
Yeah, make that. Dance for me, puppets.
Oh my god. Just like. Also, for some reason, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's because of like how just drab the beginning was, but I was. When they go into the lobby of this place, I kind of got a weird Terry Gilliam kind of vibe off of it, like almost like Brazil.
I'm not familiar with that.
He's a British director, filmmaker.
Wasn't
he did like the Brothers Grimm. He did.
Okay.
Brazil, like I said, or like what the hell is it called?
Time Bandits.
Time Bandits. That's what it was. Where there's like this drabness to it, but then there's just some kooky clowning, like almost kind of like circusy kind of like elaboration, and it's usually really like twisted and dark as well. Like I kind of got that kind of vibe off the story, but again, like the story itself is so goddamn rushed and like breakneck in terms of like getting all these sequences done that it kind of ruins that feel for me. So I like fuck. Like, I feel like that would have been an interesting story if it had basically just been like an odyssey into this like madhouse, like halfway home.
I think the thing is we keep seeing all the things this story could have been because it's nothing. It's just a collection of ideas.
It didn't know what it wanted to be because it kept tossing ideas out.
This isn't even the spaghetti on the wall. This is just a bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah.
Here's your creepypasta.
Yeah, that's basically.
We haven't even seen what sticks yet.
Yeah. All right, so I guess actually here is where I'll have Dr. Leviathan's recording. Beep. Thanks, pass me. All right, so hi, this is Review Cultist from the future. Not really. And I'm here with Dr. Leviathan to get his thoughts on Ronald McDonald House. So take it away.
Well, okay. I actually don't.
I didn't really hate it either.
I mean, it's flawed.
Yeah.
It's flawed all over the place. But honestly, it's there's a big glaring plot hole. So they once nameless protagonist, Bad Kid.
We call him Spooky Steve.
I'm just gonna call him Bad Kid.
Okay, Bad Kid works.
So just to screw with everyone who's listening to all of this.
It's like, what?
Yeah. So Bad Kid, when he wakes up in the whatchamacallit, the cell.
Yeah.
And he starts flipping through his photo album and he sees the pictures of everyone dead. They've killed his caseworker.
Yeah.
But his caseworker has had kids go through the Ronald McDonald house.
And it all worked fine.
So, I mean...
It's quite a glaring continuity error.
Or
Unless
the pictures are just faked.
Yeah, they're doctored or something. Yeah, actually, we didn't touch on that, actually. We just, kind of accused it of being this is a really serious continuity error.
So, well, because you have that information of the other kids, I like the idea that those photographs are faked. Just because, that's how they break you.
Yeah.
They tell you basically that you don't exist anymore, and then they break you. And because my belief about the way this type of Ronald McDonald house works is that they're trying to take the troubled kids and basically reprogram them through an extreme measure.
Okay, yeah.
I like that.
See, that makes sense. To a degree.
It keeps the spirit of the Ronald McDonald house and the charity function of them. It keeps that alive.
Yeah.
While taking it to this really dark place.
So your thought process on that is that the whole the kids the horror that the kid sees of the entire place is
No.
Okay.
But the horror that he sees is real because with every case with every way you would go, there's always failures. There's always unreachables.
Yeah. And those ones get crucified on a ceiling.
Well, whatever.
That one, I was...
See, now, I would have... Okay, that one kind of ruins
yeah.
what I want. But I think that would have been, basically, if you took that out and just had, the torturous reprogramming. Mm-hmm. And I like the idea, actually, of, you don't exist anymore. And, using that as kind of, a stepping stone to resetting them to zero... and then
being able to mold them into whatever they want.
Exactly, mold them into a productive, happy member of society.
Yeah.
Because what kind of gets me with this, with what's obviously not, or what is heavily implied with this, is that it's a house of horrors.
Yeah.
Because mine isn't what I think would be cool was not what was intended.
Yeah, but
this was intended to be a house of horrors.
However, they don't give you any real rhyme or reason, so as the reader, you have to come up with your own thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where the fuck are these nurses, these clown nurses and whatnot, coming from?
Yeah. Also, when the caseworker shows up in the lobby and she turns around and it's a creepy Ronald McDonald nurse and it's you're not seeing anything wrong with this, really?
Yeah.
I mean, the horror movie parent, basically.
I could let that slide, honestly. Okay. It's, don't get me wrong, there's something wrong with that, but you know what? Hey, it's, I don't know. So there's that, and, it's, how is this fitting into the world? Why are they collecting blood? Crucifying people to collect blood is
you could just
an absolutely retarded way to collect blood. No, you could put them on beds.
Okay, that one too. Yeah.
That way, they're not losing blood.
Sorry, I was thinking more of the another the Saw angle of just putting them on a butcher hook or something like that. But they put them on intravenous and just have them basically pump it out like that. Like,
Yeah.
hell, I worked for what's that vampire movie where like they start like basically farming humans?
Blade?
Oh yeah, Blade. Yeah, Blade does that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Blade's
A lot of them have done it.
yeah, a lot of the vampire movies do that. Where like
Or TV shows. I'm pretty sure that was one plan in a season of Buffy or something.
probably.
But yeah, it's like, and why do they need the blood? And it's okay that we don't get that information because he's not there for
He's
that
just-
information.
okay,
He's
nope.
there to get out.
Yeah, he's there to like just like see the atrocity and leave.
Yeah. The ending is hurry up offense.
Yeah.
It's just
Breakneck speed.
Like, okay, if I'd been taken to a Ronald McDonald House of Horrors, like this kid has, and I had just, like, really by the skin of my teeth escaped.
Yeah.
Like, they were chasing him, he has a wound.
Yeah,
If the only recognizable landmark I could see were the golden goddamned arches, I would head in the other fucking direction.
right. Yeah, it seems kind of like
I'd be like,
stupid.
golden arches? I'm gonna look for a big Burger King.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just like golden arches there, like the lights are on and some of that. Dark, creepy alleyway in Detroit. I'll take the dark alley and take my chances.
Like, I'm never gonna go to a McDonald's ever again.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
And the laptop sitting on the counter
and knowing exactly what he must do.
with an internet connection.
Yeah.
Like, okay, who set that up? Like, who left the laptop with apparently some sort of, non-standard fucking...
At a derelict 80s style McDonald's.
Yeah, who set that up? Was it the Ronald McDonald house? Do they want their secret out? That seems unlikely.
It's the Ronald on the bench.
Was it another... was it another escapee? Seems unlikely.
Yeah, I know. Like, and like the newspaper. That's just random date, random time.
But-
we did in
Yeah,
our
the random...
1992 or something like that.
I don't
think
have a
it's that.
start date for this story, so I don't know if he went back in time, forward, like if he was trapped
Yeah.
for a long time.
And there's no context to it because actually Matt looked it up, like did researched up. Nothing happens on that day except an athlete was born. So the only thing actually I brought up also, what I think that might just be like an in joke that the author was born on that date.
Then keep it out of your story.
Exactly. Like it serves no reason to be there aside from wait. So are we time traveling now?
But you know what would explain the laptop and everything else and fit with my story? Okay, it's a kid who got reprogrammed but started to remember and left,
Oh, and left the laptop there.
I'd been watching, I don't know, maybe
Oh, no, another
got a
kid's
job
coming.
at a Ronald McDonald house and, saw that he was escaping. I don't know. It could have
Yeah.
worked. It could have worked with that.
Yeah, like if he got in the or if he got in the laptop and there was a chat and he got like some anonymous character who's been watching him the whole time or something hacked into their security system or whatever. We then suddenly get into the weird underside of the Ronald McDonald house a little bit more in depth, a little bit more interestingly.
We get answers to some of the questions
Exactly,
that
yeah.
are brought up.
Yeah.
That could have been a really, really good way for it to have gone. But really, the ending is rushed. We're talking about, how this ending could work with ideas that were never in the forefront of the author's mind. So really, all it does is, this got my mind churning, and I wrote, I kind of headcanoned my own really good version of this story, and it fucking rocks.
Honestly, I prefer yours to Mikey's.
I bet.
Guess what it was?
Aliens?
Yeah. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. kind of angle. Which, yeah, I mean, giant windowless building, I can kind of see it, but at the same time, that's way too silly. But it's Mikey.
But at the same time, so is this premise.
Yeah,
If you look at it, a little closely, it's fucked up. To the point of ridiculousness, not to the point of, oh man, that's so fucked up, how did someone ever think of it? It's why would someone ever think of it?
It's like somebody wanted to do a Looney Tunes style, Saw. Is kind of what this feels like.
Yeah, but they stayed away from all of the Saw stuff.
Yeah,
like,
just wait,
they had
like,
that one scene in the...
Or really what it is it's kind of, or it's kind of more like basically just a written version of a haunted house that you go to like at like one of those haunted mazes or whatever, where like it's an attraction of some kind. But there's no rhyme or reason really other than to be spoopy.
Yeah. So I genuinely feel like this is a decent first draft. I don't care if it's a 8th draft.
Yeah.
This feels like a good first draft just because there are bones here for a better story than what was written. And, like, if someone were to, well, like I did, go back well after it was written and be like, oh man, if the author had have done that, and, you know, like, expanded on things here, and cut out some things here, and, like, did some stuff just to make it a better story.
Like, I think, like, honestly, like, the pacing in this is just breakneck. Like, skimmed over, like, you...
Oh, God,
like,
yeah.
It's basically
he wakes up,
we get
he's
highlights.
so damn woozy from the drugs that he throws up in the corner, but he manages to make a getaway.
Yeah.
Like, when he was running from the clowns, I was like, dude, are the clowns drugged too? Because you're drugged as fuck.
Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be able to recover that easily.
Yeah, like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, like it's just kind of breakneck. Like we're getting highlights. We don't get any of the when the sequential stuff happens, like between the good parts, basically, or between the creepy parts.
Yeah,
they're basically just rushed.
Now, another thing I think that would have helped this, and honestly, either you, Matt, or Mikey, probably came up with something like that, or mentioned something like this as well, because it's pretty obvious, but that means I kind of have to say it in case no one did. What would have been better is have him fucking groggy from the drugging, and, you know, not think about the fact that, oh, I've got the pins in my bag, and have him be there for a while, experience the horror for a little bit, kind of immerse us into the shit situation that he is in, and then, like, you know, a week or even just a couple of days later, you know, once they've stopped drugging the absolute piss out of him,
he remembers he has the pins.
He's like, oh, fuck yeah. And then he, you know, bides his time, waits for the right opportunity, watches for, you know, patterns in, you know, the clown's behavior.
Kind of like how we had, like, when he was at the door and he heard, like, the footsteps go by and then keep going, and then he started tinkering with the lock again.
Yeah.
But, like, again, that's, like, basically, I think that was, like, really cut down to a 2-sentence thing.
Basically, what happened was he got really fucking lucky.
Yeah.
Like...
Especially on his, like, first, like, well, assumingly first day there.
Exactly. So, it's just kind of,
I mean, who knows how long they had him out for, but I'd assume...
Yeah.
Not too long, because he also, you know... Well, then again...
Everything about his experience, it's the first day.
Yeah.
Like, first fucking hour, he flipped through a photo album.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And, like, again, like, I can't imagine him being blacked out for too long, because, because otherwise, the author probably wouldn't have thought this, but, like, if you're out for more than a couple of days, your body is not going to have fun, like, getting up and doing that kind of stuff. Or, like, running. Because you're, you know, even if you're on intravenous or anything like that, you're not eating properly. You haven't gotten energy in you.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just by slowing it down and having him in there, we would have also gotten a nice glimpse into why they're doing this.
Yeah.
You know, like, fuck, even just seeing why they paint their faces and, you know, have the wigs.
Yeah, like...
Are they wigs?
When he doesn't... Yeah, exactly. Like, when he doesn't go into that one room, like, you just hear screaming, like, he could have, like, creaked open and seen, like, them working on some kid to, like, give them the clown makeup or, like, reprogram him. And then, boom, we've got our explanation for what's going on here. Or even tangentially, like, just, like... Also, just the piles of bodies in the sewer as he runs by them.
Yeah. And, like, no one notices?
Yeah, like, I mean, I know it's Detroit, guys, but...
But you can't have piles, like, if you have piles of bodies, that means you have piles of missing people. I mean...
The orphanage, the bus program only works so well for dirty deeds like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I found. Apparently, or bus treatment. That's what it is. Basically, they just ship when orphanages are too full and like they have a bunch of kids coming in, they basically just pop them on buses to the next orphanage and the next orphanage and the next orphanage, and they kind of just get lost in the system. But like that only works so much for the piles of corpses that are going on in this place.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
Like doctoring documents saying, "Oh yeah, these kids turned out perfectly fine," so that only works so long.
Yeah. But yeah. And this is a little bit of a nitpick. Okay, so the kid's 15.
Yeah.
He's had this caseworker, we can assume, for a while. He doesn't know her name.
Yeah.
He never uses it anyway. Now, why?
Well, I mean, to be fair, we don't get anybody's name.
Yeah,
but the caseworker should be like...
This is, like, I can understand it when it's, like, a narrated story, you don't get the narrator's name.
Yeah.
I get it. It's kind of hard to fit that in organically. Could have been done here because there were forms.
Yeah.
However,
and
there was literally a clown nurse that met him.
Yeah. It's like, oh, hi. Yeah.
It could have been done.
Yeah.
It could have been done, but I understand that people don't think to do that. But
the caseworker
he refers to the caseworker like a bunch of times in like the first fucking third of the story.
His caseworker.
Exactly.
That's it. Like,
whereas a name would have helped make the world feel real.
Mm-hmm. Like even like when he's looking at the album and he's like looking at all the like the family like photos being murdered, and then like they take more time with photos of like going into her house and murdering her, like, and there's a little bit more of a connection between her and the kid. But bad kid, yeah. But so there should be some kind of you should know her on by a name basis from by now.
Exactly. And you know, it would have been if there had been a connection that was established throughout the story, even just enough to like give us her fucking name.
Yeah.
Maybe that scene where he's flipping through the photo album would have held more weight, but it really didn't.
Yeah. Honestly,
and the fact that, like, we basically are... Okay, well, I inferred from the story that he doesn't really give a shit about his former foster families.
Despite the fact that he wishes it turned out well. Like...
Yeah, but if he...
I suppose that's, like, I guess that's, like, kind of, like, eventually, like, you start, kind of, like, having regrets about not having something work out, especially when you're in a shittier situation.
Yeah, but, I mean, like, when you're, like... Why do you have these pictures?
Well, that's exactly what.
And if you liked it there, why did you fuck it up?
Yeah, honestly, that's because I'm the bad kid. Honestly, that was my my comment to it. Is like this kid is calling himself a bad kid and like says that he screws up all the time and always like has to switch families and stuff like that. But why does he have like mementos of his former families and wishes that it had turned out better with those?
Exactly. Now,
are you just a natural fuck up?
With a good multi-dimensional person or multifaceted person, that's acceptable.
Yeah, but this
story is too short and too one-dimensional.
Yeah. Like, we're not here about the kid. Honestly, like the story at its root, we're not here about this kid's backstory. The backstory is really just there to serve so that the kid can vanish.
Exactly.
Or has like plausible deniability when he does vanish, if that's the case. Like if he meets a bad end. The story is at its core is about the Ronald McDonald house from the hell.
Yeah.
That is in every city and can only be found if you're shown it. But, well, anyway.
And just because a building doesn't have a number doesn't mean it doesn't have an address.
Yeah. Honestly, that was my thing because he's
big
like
difference.
Yeah.
I mean, the writing itself, the structure's decent.
Yeah.
Like I say, the bones here, the bones here are adequate.
Yeah.
But they're bones, and that's the problem.
Yeah, there's no meat. Yeah. Or I mean, there's meat. Like there's concepts in this. Like so a lot of the scenes. I mean, except the crucifixion one, I had a problem with because I felt like it was way too distracting. There's a lot in that.
So
there's a lot. There's also a lot in that scene that's just like this would be creepy, but there's too much glut here to make it really like everything. Not only are these kids being like siphoned out of their blood and they're on the ceiling, they're also crucified in rows. Like
yeah, it's
almost comical and like it shouldn't be.
Or it should be.
Or it should be, but yeah.
But not in that manner.
Exactly. Yeah, and like even like me and Matt and Mikey said, like, or have commented, like, there's some good creepy moments in this. There's some good moments in this story, but just the way they are kind of like laid out kind of ruins it.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't get any real much explanation for anything.
Exactly.
Especially at the end.
And that definitely hurts the story.
Yeah, that newspaper did not need to be there. Like, that newspaper, again...
The newspaper doesn't need to be there. We need to know why the fucking laptop is there, and we need to know why anyone would walk to the Golden Arches after escaping. Experience.
Yeah. Like, if it had been something, like... and again, the story also does suffer from another common creepypasta trope, is the photo at the very bottom. Like, the photo that accompanies it.
Oh,
just for the have, like, you know, the Ronald McDonald statue on the bench.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the only reason that is in the story, is because of that photo. And I could be wrong, but...
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's got the fucking... Yeah. And I don't get the ending with Ronald is trying to look over my shoulder. He's laughing at. All I can do is join him.
Yeah, like, okay,
I don't
so
get
if you
that.
like, wait, so is the Ronald McDonald's like an actual person now? Like, he's not a statue?
Right?
And, like, again, it's the thing. You're
it's
trying
the
to
hurry up ending.
Yeah, the hurry up ending, and you're trying to create something, a creepy scenario that you're putting, it comes out of left field. Mm-hmm. Or there's too much there.
And like, all it does is bring more questions to why the fucking laptop's there.
Yeah.
Because, like, then you're getting the story out, so, okay, well, it wasn't the people behind the Ronald McDonald house that left the laptop there.
It was
because they wouldn't want their story out, but no one else knows about this shit, so...
Yeah. Oh god, like, for the time travel thing, what if it's a past version of this kid who left the laptop there for future him?
Couldn't be, it's a new laptop.
That's true, yeah.
The thing is, you know what? Those are problems with the story,
Yeah.
like the whole laptop, internet, fucking just the internet connection that he somehow has to post this story.
Yeah.
Like, those are all problems, but they're smaller than the rest of the problems.
That's true, yeah.
Like, that's fact-checking problems.
Yeah. Well,
The rest of them are more or less, like, story construction problems.
Yeah.
Like, taking your time to write the story, or once you've written it, like, let it sit, go back to it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, see what you've got, and then see what you could do with it, and then do that.
Yeah. Because otherwise you're just like, and again, it's okay to post it online to, like, see if you can get some some more criticism there and stuff like that, or good constructive criticism, or just be prepared for trolls. But also,
put something on the internet looking for constructive criticism.
It does exist in some places.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us, right? But then, like, be prepared to go. Then take your pasta or your story and change it and re-upload it, kind of thing. Like, because. And I think this one has. I think a lot of creepypastas do end up, like, the authors and stuff like that do end up changing things, but sometimes they don't. Like, they just kind of leave it out there for the world, and just I'll change it maybe later.
Yeah, and it's honestly just sad because like I said several times, there's something there, but we'll never get it.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Until we do, or unless we do. Yep, it'll be okay. This is a very uplifting anniversary episode.
Well,
thanks, Matt, for choosing this story. Then again, I did also choose this story by choosing Matt's selection. Anyway, so I guess recommendations for this one for you? Unless you have anything else to say about the story, which...
See, it's hard for me to recommend it because it is inherently flawed. But it's not criminally flawed, so I feel like I should recommend it because not being criminally flawed is actually pretty good for some of the shit we have to do.
True.
I can't really recommend it. If it gets, like,
An update.
Yeah, if it got rewritten, I could probably recommend that because the base structure of this is decent. Really, the problem is lack of substance.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
So if you wrote this and you're listening to this, take it, rewrite it, add things. I mean, you've listened to it. You know what to do with it. I've basically handed it out to you.
Yeah. I mean, don't
do that, and I will pre-recommend it.
One of these days, like, we're gonna get a story that somebody's like redone based off of our recommendations or what have you, and we'll have to redo it. Like, we'll have to do the show again, that episode, and I look forward to that.
I hope it. I wish it happened regularly.
All right. I think that's nothing else to say about Ronald McDonald House.
No, not really.
Can you believe we've been doing this for 3 years?
I can.
And with that, I'm going to send it back to Past Cultist.
All right. Hi, Mike. Hi, Matt.
All right. So that was the.
Wow, that was a very insightful commentary.
Yeah, I know. Man, brought tears to my eyes.
I don't know why you said all that stuff about Mexicans, though.
Yeah, I was kind of racist. So,
I mean, you took my alien comment way too far.
I know. Oh, wow, yeah. All right, so I guess now we're at the recommendations aspect. So, no. Like, read it for a lark, maybe. Like, read it.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna say yes. Just do the Midnight Marinara version again because you get to listen to Nick Nocturne read it and get very annoyed with it.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I could see that. I'm probably gonna end up watching that one or listening to that one in the next couple of hours.
The thing I will say is they riff basically every sentence on it. So this story took me about 20 minutes to read when I was taking notes. It takes them over 2 hours to read it.
Damn.
Because they read a sentence, then they riff on the sentence, and then they discuss everything the sentence reminds them of.
Nice.
And they swap between each person reading the sentence, basically.
Wow. Nice. All right. And Mikey?
Well, if you put on your alien goggles, it becomes much more enjoyable. But the biggest problem is the ending and the laptop and really not making sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the last quarter of this story? The fourth act? The fourth act?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I did put this into Google Docs just to see what the page length. It's only like 8 pages long, but like that last 2 pages.
Yeah.
Also, wow, there's some people. I just went through the comments here.
No.
I just want to read one of these out.
Sure,
it's a long one. So first off, actually, it's a very short one. I don't think I'll ever let my parents give to this place charity. And then the reply is, "What are you talking about? This is fiction."
Oh God.
And then, okay, so the next one below that from September 17th, 2016 is, fuck this story, fuck the people who are loving it, pun intended, and fuck the author. Okay, maybe not the author and the lover of this story, but seriously, fuck this story. It's a non-coherent piece of shit that people need to reread to see how utterly stupid it is. Let's just start with the dumbest thing in this story, that there are way more stupid things in this story than just this. The caseworker said she's had more than a few cases through the Ronald McDonald House before. Thing is, she should have been killed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I'm not gonna... And then the other person, this is ridiculous, I tried too hard. I don't understand what the newspaper meant. Time travel? Or why the laptop was there? Why would the tormentors, killers want them to write about their experiences? Oh yes, Ronald McDonald is evil, truly terrifying. I can practically feel his beady little clown eyes watching me. I'll be seeing that red and yellow striped outfits in my nightmares for years to come, certainly. Fuck you.
Damn.
I don't know if that's a positive or a negative comment.
I mean, this has certainly been a trip.
Yeah, so, And yeah, most of the comments in this story basically it's like an echo chamber of bad. Yeah, I don't know. Listen to Midnight Marinero read it because they have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Much like we did.
Yeah. And this honestly, this was kind of a fun. This was an appropriate anniversary episode for the show. Because it's
when are you guys gonna cover? When are you guys gonna finish up 1988?
You mean 1999?
1999.
Oh, right, yeah,
because that actually finished after you guys did your episode on it.
God damn it! I thought it was over.
No, it continued for 6 more months after you guys finished it.
And from what I heard, got really shitty. Like more so.
Yeah, no, I think I sent you the part that is literally line for line an episode of Alan Tutorial.
Yeah.
It's just literally an Alan Tutorial video is the last entry.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe this year we'll get around to that one, like a revisit. Now that the series is actually concluded. Oh god, going back to 1999.
There we go. It's also like this comment, really overrated. Then again, Jeff the Killer gets 10 out of 10, so IDK, what else there is to say?
Yeah, right? Alright, well, that has been, I guess, that's our recommendations, and this episode with this crazy, nonsensical story. I apparently have some writing to do, since I'm going to be writing an alien version of the story. Hey, it'll be a transformative work. If you like what you heard, if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where if this gets posted. You can also check us out on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr. We're on iTunes, so leave us a rating and review. Matt, would you like to plug anything for this one?
Yeah, sure. I'll plug my podcast, The Drunk and the Ugly. It's an actual play podcast. We play a bunch of role-playing games. We've got like 30 systems, 600 episodes. Start with the one-offs. I don't think we have anything that's clown-themed, but we do have a lot of horror games. We've got a bunch of Cthulhu, Little Fears, that kind of stuff. So if you want to listen to kids getting tormented by monsters, we've got that. We got that B-roll. That's drunkandugly.com. You can also find it on iTunes. You can find it on the Google Play Store, or wherever popular podcasts are distributed. Then also, I do a podcast with Travis called Ugly Talk. We discuss writing concepts. We do, and talking about transformative works. We discuss how to take films, TV, games, and take concepts from that. What they did right and how to apply that to your own writing. Every episode kind of hits a theme of something. Cultist is on a couple episodes.
Yep.
So you can check those out. Mostly about discussing creepypastas and about discussing creepypasta-based video games. I'm also on Twitch. You can twitch.tv/spacecow2455 or simply spacecow.rocks. I've been playing Dark Souls on there. Probably by the time this goes up, I'll be doing a race of Final Fantasy V with Charlie on there. For the Final Fantasy V 4-Job Fiesta, a Final Fantasy V challenge run for charity.
Nice.
So, yeah. So, you can check that out. We do streams on Thursdays and whenever else. I stream a lot of Necrodancer because I'm a Necrodancer speedrunner. So, yeah.
Okay. You can also... do you guys actually do emails anymore? Like have an email that you get emails and stuff?
Yeah. You can email us the drunkandtheugly@gmail.com. Same, the email that existed before the podcast. It predates the podcast.
Nice.
It may have actually been the reason we called our podcast that.
The Drunk and the Ugly. Nice.
Yeah.
And you can also leave Al Dente Rigamortis emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. And you can leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. We will add them to our roster, and we will get to them eventually. Because I think we still have, we usually have a nice
What's your guys' backlog
roster.
like, yeah?
I think we got 10, 12 pastas.
Nice.
But we usually we get through them pretty quickly, and then it's either until we get like another suggestion from somebody on the Tumblr site or the email or Twitter. I basically just go in and look up for stuff on creepypasta.wiki. So
Yeah, you start trolling like No Sleep.
basically,
on the
yeah.
wiki.
Although I haven't done No Sleep in a while, but I've been like the creepypasta.wiki. I basically just like, I want to do something that's themed. So let's find wedding-based ones, or Newfoundland-based ones, or like I want something in the woods.
How many Newfoundland-based creepypastas
There is
are
one,
there?
and it's coming up, actually, folks. Here's a little bit of a teaser. In the first week of August or the second week of August, depending on how long it takes me to edit that one, there will be a Newfoundland one called the Fair Folk, because apparently Newfoundland has some fairy legends, or somebody in Newfoundland, or somebody who wanted to do a creepypasta about Newfoundland did something about creepy fairy folk.
Nice.
And yeah, so look to that one. But yeah, also you can check out the title cards for each episode of Al Dente on crazonstudios.tumblr.com, or on the YouTube channel Al Dente Rigor Mortis, which has basically the video versions of each episode. And if you'd like to become a patron and help out the show a little bit, go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis. We have several different backing tiers. Some provide early access to episodes. Some provide special episodes or behind-the-scenes stuff, like sketches for the title cards and whatnot. And yeah, that is this week's episode. So until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
I'm Matt.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.
He's trolling the troll pasta.
Pasta will now. Episode will resume in 3, 2, 1.
Either this is a modern day and this is just Detroit, like a ruination time capsule. Time capsule. Wow. Or
Freudians what?
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 or
Freudians what?